Millions of Americans have been vaccinated against COVID, but many are still hesitant. Dr. Payal Kohli joins us live. Hey, Doc. So we want to speak to you directly, and we want you actually to speak. So I got that wrong, of course. We want you to speak directly to the viewers who are having second thoughts about the vaccine. So let me give you an example. Colin says, I'm concerned about long-term side effects. We do not know enough about them. Dr. Kohli, what would you say to Colin?
So, Colin, I would say that your concern is echoed by hundreds of Americans, and I'm so glad you asked this question. But let's look at history to tell us what we can learn about this vaccine. So we know that history tells us that in the history of vaccinations, when you give somebody a vaccination, you usually see adverse effects within a few months of the vaccination. It is highly unlikely for you to see something many, many years later. And that's why, even though we don't have long-term data on this, we can feel rest assured about this vaccine. And then the second thing I would say is that think about it. This is faulty reasoning. If we use this for everything in our lives, we would never have a new technology. We would never have AirPods. We would never have iPhones. We would never have any of those things because long-term data on their use in our lives has not been established. So we have to understand that applying scientific principles makes us comfortable using new technologies, even though we don't have long-term data.
Makes sense. Amelia writes, I'm trying to have a baby and heard the vaccine could harm my fertility.
Well, I would say, Amelia, first of all, I'm at the age where almost every single one of my friends is trying to get pregnant. So I've had this conversation a lot with my friends. But I want to reassure you that this is a myth on the internet. The vaccine does not hurt your fertility. There is no evidence to show that it does. In fact, the opposite. We just got evidence this week from the New England Journal of Medicine that the vaccine given to pregnant women protected them and had no obvious harm to their baby. So I would say if you're trying to get pregnant, one of the best things you can do for your baby is to get that vaccine.
All right, Doc. Doug, and he sounds a little ornery here. He says, I honestly don't think it's anyone's business whether I get vaccinated or not. What would you say to Doug?
So I would say, Doug, that for most of our health choices, you're absolutely right. Whether I decide to eat potato chips or not exercise or spend all day sitting on the couch, those are my personal health decisions. But it's very different when it comes to a highly contagious illness that you can spread to others. So, you know, what you decide to do with your life, Doug, affects me, it affects somebody else. And if you decide not to get vaccinated, you may not get that sick, but you may make somebody's grandmother, grandfather, or parent extremely ill and maybe even have them pass away. So keep in mind that for something like this, it really is all of us in it together because this is a contagious illness.
Well said, Dr. Kohli. As always, we appreciate you.